So we're at the Lighthouse here in Venice, which is a co-work space that a lot of us in LA are starting to at least go to events to. Me and Parth Patil are among sort of the membership. We're very lucky to call this place a place that I use instead of my kitchen. Some of you have gotten to know the Legos that I populate my kitchen with, but this is not my office either. I don't know. These are great books. There's some really nice set dressing. There's a John Cougar Mellencamp tape if anybody wants to come by and listen to it. But Parth and Ben Rellis are part of the membership here. That's kind of how I first discovered this. Like Ben, who we'll have on here one of these days, was introduced me to the space. But I've met Parth because he was at some of our earliest events. And we were, some of us were gen jamming, and I'd go upstairs and be like, "You seem cool. Thanks for coming to the events." He's like, "I'm just like working with 1,000 agents over here. You guys go back to making your movies." So that was my early introduction. That Parth is on a different magic carpet than most of us, but that's probably something that's true of most of your life. But you've been in the office of Reid Hoffman alongside Ben, a big part of the Reid AI kind of experience. If you guys have come across that, it's its own thing that we can unpack today. But you are also working closely with Ben. I don't know how big a secret it is what he's doing, but we can let him introduce it. But you're working in the avatar space, and you're very close to all these things. And I want to learn about you today. I want everybody to meet you. But also, it's interesting to me that you represent this crowd of folks to me that are coming at this from a pure, more technology background. Like, I don't know you to have come from film school or journalism school, but it's interesting how much you and folks in your side of the space have a lot to contribute to video and storytelling. So welcome.
Thanks for that intro, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it just puts in perspective like how long. I mean, I remember my first Gen battle, and for me, it was like I remember showing up and I was like, "We're gonna make a music video in 3 hours," and I was like, "I need 3 days," and you're like, "Well, you got 3 hours," and that's when I was like, "Oh man, I gotta go faster. I gotta think. I gotta think about this." But it's been a lot of fun. I think, especially for me, playing with video models, playing with image models. Coming from a technology background, I do think I have a different lens on this stuff than maybe the creatives in LA, but I think it's a synergy, and like I think there's something we can like. For me, it's I learn all the best models from guys like you.
And
Yeah,
briefly, like, what is your background and what brings you to working with people like Ben and Reid
yeah.
and yeah.
So I, from the Bay Area, grew up in the Bay Area, and so like I'm, deeply steeped in technology all my life, and my background for the last 10 years has been mostly in startup, a little bit of corporate finance at the start of my career. But for the last 10 years, pretty much I've been working at startups my whole life. And the most recent startup that I worked at was Clubhouse. The audio, like a lot of people here probably were on Clubhouse back during the pandemic, and the audio app where you could meet people and talk to people all over the world, and just it's a social network built on conversation. That was huge. That's how I met Min and a lot of the people here.
There is like an all roads lead to Clubhouse
100%.
kind of a secret message to everything that I discovered because I actually wasn't on there, but it seems like I'm always Min's like, oh, it's back in Clubhouse days, or Michael Ronan was
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's like an era thing. And
yeah.
even I wasn't really like I was in the later Clubhouse era. Like Min was way earlier. But anyways, yeah, so that's how I met a bunch of people outside of tech, and that was amazing. And I started kind of like, I think the main thing is like when you start talking to people outside of your like universe, you really start expanding your scope, expanding your horizons. And in the latest revolution, I guess this Gen AI revolution, I spent the last 3 years pretty much working with language models all day long, every single day for like 14 hours a day. Damn, we lose the camera
I
feed.
think audio is going, so just keep
All
going.
right, cool.
Yeah.
We'll do radio style.
Yep.
So ChatGPT came out, and I was on Clubhouse, and I met a bunch of people that were using it in all different kinds of ways. They were using it. There were farmers in my home state in India using it for crop cycle planning, and I'm like, oh, geez, this must be a new computer. I was like, this is like Jarvis, except not for just Tony Stark. It's like the Jarvis for everyone, right? Like the like advanced version of Siri. And so conversational intelligence was here, and I realized like that's what I'm going to spend my next probably 10 years working on
Mm-hmm.
is like these natural language systems, because to me it's like as important as like the mouse and the keyboard was to the computer. This is as important as of a leap beyond mouse and keyboard. Now that we can communicate with the computer just through natural language, that's incredible. And then subs like at the same time, it wasn't just like the text revolution of language, but like a revolution of like these these image and like the models became multimodal. So now you have these image models, you have the video models, and so that, like it seems like all of this is on a exponential. All of these are on exponentials, but they're also on like a collision course. That you imagine that like the best image models end up feeding the best videos, the best things you create with videos. And the more we play with video models, the more it's like, oh, I want to be in the video, I want to play in the world. And now we have the world engines coming online. And I think it's like all happening. It feels like it's all happening 100 years earlier than I expected.
Wow. And also, I just keep, when I have to interact with like consulting clients, I there's this sort of emotional stress to this information we deliver
Yeah.
that I think is also built around the fact that it's not over.
Oh, this is the first inning.
But I'm saying the notion of like this thing that's happening
Yeah.
that we can all start putting into perspective, like, oh, it's like when cars showed up and replaced horses or whatever everybody's favorite metaphor. Like there's still many parts of that car that are, for better or worse, just shipping constantly.
Yeah.
They're not even like happening inside the lab before we all know it's safe either.
Yeah.
So I think that to put it in that scope, I think there's also the humility of like we're still taking it in,
Yeah.
and it's still arriving,
And faster than we can individually process,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Like it's all accelerating. I mean, I spend all my time on language models, and I still like. I'm like, well, I need friends to help me keep up with things because you just can't keep up with everything by yourself. You need people that are just like experts in other domains that are like bouncing ideas.
So with your perspective, and obviously what you've now are, so as we all high level drink that sort of elixir of the moment, then what do you, so that, what did you choose to start applying these observations to, whether it's taking the background in Clubhouse or really the roads that led you to work with Ben and Reid? Like it sounds like you've found some very specific
Yeah.
focuses for that.
Yeah. 2 years. Basically, when I got laid off from Clubhouse, and in May of 2023, and at March of 2023, GPT-4 had come out, and when GPT-4 came out, that's when I was like, the leap from GPT-3 to GPT-4 for me was so visceral. The model could see, the model was incredibly good at programming. And then I had a friend who was I met on Clubhouse, and he was like, "You should be programming with this every day, because one day this model will probably be better than all of us at programming." And I was like, "Man, if that's the case, then like I can actually become a version of a software engineer. I can like I don't need to have a degree in software engineering. I can just like make things by talking to the program, talking to the language model." So I started doing that every day. I was just talking to ChatGPT, asking for it to help me make things. So like, first thing I asked it to do was teach me how to clone my voice, and then it pulled some library off the open source web, and within an hour, I had a voice clone of myself on my
This is
computer.
like 2 years ago now.
This was May of 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you saw that immediately as like, that's the first game I want to play.
The first thing was like,
clone Parth.
well, oh no. The first thing was like, what can I tell this thing to do? It's
Right.
like, I don't know how to clone my own voice, so like, let me ask the model, and then it's just like, oh, by the way, here's the program, and I was like, wait, it's that easy? Like, I don't need to like research to solve this problem, but because it's pre-trained on everything, and you can give it access to the web, it's able to stitch together solutions from that have been already achieved, right? So then that was like 1 hour into my first day of programming with language models. I didn't know, but this was vibe coding way before,
Right.
like way early days of vibe coding, back in the ChatGPT days of vibe coding. But my follow up question that day, and it was a Sunday, right? So I was like, damn, like I got a voice. I'm like, I got a voice assistant on my computer, right? Well, it was just a voice, but then I said, okay, what if I wanted GPT to power this voice? So I asked GPT-4, how do I turn this into a chat experience? And then it writes the program. It takes language model, it takes GPT, writes it in a chat loop, and then hooks it up to the voice. And so on the first day of programming with language models, I had a program on my computer with my voice talking to me. And that was
wild.
yeah, and it wasn't even like 4 hours in. So I was kind of just like, so then it started like I had an anxiety attack. Started going. I had to go for a walk because I was like, oh man, this is supposed to be like way harder. Just like before language models, this was going to require raising money, hiring a bunch of people, even knowing how to program. Like I'm like I don't know any of these things, and that I can get to this like magical moment of like talking to a program that I generated within 3 hours. I was like, this is something else. And that's when I was like, I'm gonna have to work on this for 10 years. Like this, I don't see it, like this paradigm of work that you can create through describing is it's like it feels like playing. It doesn't.
Wow.
It doesn't even feel like work.
And is that, how did you kind of cross paths with Ben and eventually
Yeah.
Reid? Yeah.
So 2 years of
Yeah.
talking to language models,
Yeah.
and programming with them. And eventually, I met Todd Terrazas.
Yeah.
He runs AILA and huge community here. For me, that was pretty important because no one understood what I was doing. So like I was just like, you know, in my room hacking with language models. But then when I go into the real world, like a lot of people were banning the technology at the office, and so I didn't really have people to talk to about it. And then eventually, I go to an AILA event and I meet Todd, and my friend's like, "Oh, Todd was working on chatbots before chatbots worked. Parth works on chatbots now." And then I met him, and then he was like, "Oh, we'll host a bunch of events, get the community together." That's what he does. And sure enough, that's how I met like you guys. Like
Right.
was at the
It was
beach
at
house.
his house.
Yeah, it
Right.
was at the beach house, and so I was working out of that beach house for like a year while I was unemployed, just kind of hacking. And there I met Ben. I also got my first contracting gigs when I was there. So like it was the beginning of me making money off of the new skill set, which was like a huge like moment of relief because I literally burned my entire life savings on language models, just like ripping
Oh
them.
wow, just going through tokens.
Yeah,
And, yeah.
yeah.
Amazing.
It was probably not the smartest thing, but for me, it was the most fun unemployment. Yeah, yeah,
I love that confession. Okay,
yeah.
so mom and dad, this is what I do.
Mm-mm.
And did Ben already?
Yeah,
And Ben was already working with Reid at this point.
yeah. Ben worked
And
for Reid.
obviously Ben has his own journey of what puts him in front of Reid. But did they already have this vision of like let's clone Reid?
No.
It was how did that come about?
So I was working out of the beach house, and I was kind of known as like the chatbots guy. Like, and so at the time, it's like RAG was like the hot kind of technique for building around language models. So you give a language model access to some corpus, and then you can talk to it, and it'll retrieve from that corpus. That's something that I'm like pretty good at is retrieval systems. And Ben came over and he's like, "You think you could build a chatbot on top of someone who has like a body of work that has like maybe like a couple books, a couple podcasts?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And he was talking about Reid. So then he was like, "Yeah, just can you make one for Reid?" So that day I built a custom GPT on top of Reid's corpus of work. So I like he gave me access to the books. I got some podcast episodes into it, and then you would talk to it, and it would answer in the personality and style of Reid. And then
And was that in his head too as like a capability, or did it just came out of like a discovery process of us all wondering out loud?
I think it's like we knew that we had retrieval, and everyone was working on retrieval at the time. And it was I mean, for me, it was like I know how to do this. Like, let's just do the first. My thing is like, I think nowadays because of how fast you can get something done, I and Ben kind of he gives me flack for this, but I think that's one of my superpowers, which is that I'm just gonna do something just to see if it's possible because it might be possible in an hour or two, and then we can talk about it after. But a lot of people get crippled into like, should we do this? Should we do this? But then they spend a couple weeks thinking about whether they should do it, and if they just did it, even if it was useless in retrospect, like it's better to just do it because it might be faster to validate the theory by just like it wouldn't be nice for us to just interact with the first version right now, and that might give us a better idea of what to do next. So when we had this chatbot and we were talking to it, and people were like in people in Reid's world were you interacting with it, and they were like, "Wow, this is awesome." And I'm looking at it, I'm like, it's just racking up conversations, and I was like, "This is like it seems like people really like this kind of thing." And then Ben had the idea of like, well, what if we talk to some startups and we bring some other pieces of the technology together and create a more of like a visual experience? Because Ben's a video model, not a video model guy. He's
YouTube.
YouTube. He's
Yeah.
like OG YouTube,
Right.
and so he's always thinking about how can we turn this into a video. And so we have this chatbot, and then we have these pre-generated avatar technologies that are coming online. This is before they were interactive, so we used. This is before hey, this was hour one. Hour one. So you would be basically
Mm.
you train an avatar a video model and it would generate that person saying a script.
So Hour One was like an early studio
Yeah.
that I think as you just track this kind of like agent like video clone effect, like they were really early days. I've actually haven't heard
Yeah,
from them for a
really
while.
early,
Yeah.
and they only had the pre-generated visuals. So like you would give them a couple hours of video, and then they would train an avatar, and then you could give that avatar a script, and then a couple like 20 minutes later you would get the video version of that. So then we put that YouTube video out of well, then it was like we spent a couple like weeks trying to think what's the right way to package this to make it a content piece. And Ben's brilliant when it comes to like content and YouTube. And but I had the idea of like, well, you know, there's because it's like how do you make a video avatar concept like make sense to people? And I was like, if you have you seen Tron Legacy?
I don't think so. Yeah.
Man. Well, actually, I'm
Tron's
jealous.
getting a lot of hate these days.
Hey,
It's
no,
hard
no,
to
no,
keep
no.
up with. Yeah.
I'm jealous. I'm jealous because if I could watch Tron Legacy for the first time, bro.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
Tron Legacy is a masterpiece. But basically, in Tron Legacy, Jeff Bridges gets stuck in a video game. He's talking to programs, and then he clones himself, and then he's talking to his own clone, like a program made in his image and likeness. And that scene of him walking up to this mirror and then walking up to like a copy of himself and talking to it, I thought that was a very interesting, powerful experience. And then it was like, well, we could probably do that, recreate that with language models and video models. And so that was the inspiration for the first. It was like Reid talking to himself.
Min's clarifying that Tron Legacy has its haters, but you
Tron
you
Legacy
said...
has 0 haters.
I think Tron's...
He's trolling me. He's totally trolling me. I'm not taking the bait.
Tron's definitely a polarizing topic, as you can see. I don't want to... Well, look, I also... While we could probably spend hours, I think I've gotten that feedback at your talks too, that you have so much to contribute. This is obviously a little bit of some of your recent origin story. I'd love to, if you can help us pivot on how this is now what you're growing into today. But I didn't want to cut you off. I was just letting you know that.
So actually, I don't even
disagrees with you.
So I think the avatar stuff is interesting, but it's a little early stages, and that's cool. But like, what really excites me is coding agents, and then everything that you can apply coding agents to. So I know this. I don't know how many vibe coders and programmers we have in this community, but if you're playing with tools like Cursor, you're playing with tools like Claude Code and Codex, you're at the front end, like the bleeding edge of automating programming. Yes, vibe coder. Cool. So we got some vibe coders. Good. So what really excites me about coding agents is that they're useful for things outside of programming. It's not obvious to a lot of people because the name coding agent suggests that it's for a software engineer. But I actually think that automating software engineering is more valuable for non-technical people than it is for technical people in many ways. And the idea that you have an engineer, I have an engineer, and that we aren't engineers ourselves, but that now we can tap into code as a solution to problem solving. But then when you intersect that with creative models, that's when you get really crazy. Like if you give a coding agent access to all the same models that we use, the image models, the video models, Nano Banana, you give Codex or Claude Code access to those models, it can use those models. But then you can talk to it and you can use those models at scale without having to use your mouse and the keyboard.
I mean, I'm listening to you because I'm also as busy as a lot of us are getting. Like my biggest regret is not spending more time doing what you're talking about, because I do think like it's like everybody that's familiar with images or videos in a legacy system, they're immediately running towards how can we make stuff. But this sort of mindset that I suddenly have a software brain to apply to this like is the most obvious like uncharted terrain. I know Min's been spending a lot of time. In a lot of ways, there's a vision on how this is pointing towards games as an iteration for, the interactive storytelling thing that a lot of people predict. But I fully agree, and I almost wonder, like, I mean, you have such a privilege of so much to tap into of like your knowledge, and we could go down the Dungeons and Dragons meme of where those skills maybe are born. But like, how would you sort of communicate that back to people that maybe to them it can be a little intimidating to look at a cursor for the first time, and I think there's a leap to jump into that too. Like, how are you inviting other people to understand this the way you do?
I wouldn't even recommend if you're new to this concept of automated code, I would you very likely have ChatGPT or Claude, right? Pretty much everyone has the paid subscription for one of those two. You can, so if you have the one that's more beginner friendly is Anthropic's Claude Code. You can install Claude Code. All you need is a terminal. Your computer already has a terminal. If you're on a Mac, you can use the terminal that you have, and you can install Claude Code. And that the most intimidating thing will be interacting with the terminal for the first time, because you're going to be like, oh my god, this is complicated.
The Matrix is going by.
It feels like the Matrix. Yeah. But what happens is you install Claude Code, and what that means is you have Claude, the chatbot, but it's on your computer. And there's a huge leap beyond using it in a web browser and it being on your computer. The big thing being, when it's on a web browser and you're working with it, a lot of times it's creating files, it's like doing things, but then they're on the browser and then you move on to the next chat, you lose all that. When you have Claude on your computer, you can spawn it in a folder. It'll work in that folder, and then everything it does stays there. So if you say generate 100 images and you give it an image model, it'll generate all those images and put them in that folder. If you say animate those images using this video model, it'll go and animate those images using VO3. And so you get these benefits of like state management. Well, basically, like you get the benefit of like it being on your computer means that it can interact with files and then leave those. You can work with those files later, right? That's really powerful versus like having to constantly download them from a web interface. I think that a language model on your computer is a very powerful realization of like what you can do with these things when they're not in a browser.
Yeah, no, and I think Claude is available. I mean, it's sort of one of the three big choices everybody gets to make. It's to know that that sort of like sports car is just sitting there waiting for you to drive it.
Yes, and it comes with your subscription. You
Yeah.
don't have to sign up for something new. It comes with your subscription. It's just a little it's a little intimidating at first because you may have never used a terminal, but the thing is that these tools can use the terminal.
Yeah.
So like you're just talking to Claude. It's just inside your computer.
You know, and we can go down this longer road. I mean, there's Lovable, and there's a few other sort of even more user friendly kind of versions of this. Like I think Blink is a new one that I just heard about, and I can't tell if it's somebody shilling me on LinkedIn, but they're making the case that it might be better than Lovable. Are you familiar with Blink?
Yeah, I mean not Blink, but I know Lovable, Bolt, Replit. I'm a huge Replit guy. I think there's a difference between those and Claude Code and Codex. The main thing is that those are for designing web applications in most cases. When you use a coding agent on your own computer, it's more like Jarvis. It's more like it's in your environment, and anything that it automates just kind of it can reuse in the future. So like if you like a workflow, you create a new workflow by talking to this thing, and you're like, oh, I like that. Save that for later. It will actually save that for later, and then the next time you talk to it, it'll be able to pick up where it left off because it has that process saved. And so that's the beginning of like scaling your processes. So I think a lot of times, especially in the creative model space, people have like they develop a strong sense of which models are good and how to use them and how to prompt them, but you're still in the loop. You're still in the weeds, and actually like turning that perspective into more of a system, you can do that with coding agents.
This might be a weird question, but I think because of the way your brain works with this stuff, like I think about, you know, let's just go back to all these mental models of where this technology sits in some metaphor. You know, I always like the car one because I think life before and after cars, like you would have never built a city like Los Angeles. Or cities that are built on the premises of highways.
Yeah.
You know, there's all these new like, oh, that's how a city would work because now we travel distances differently.
That's right.
And we see opportunity in living in a suburb versus an urban dwelling. Do you yet have, you know, predictions, visions of what are the types of assumptions that we get to unravel when we interact with content? Because of this sort of ability to tool with it, or this ability to not need an army of coders to sometimes build a software solution. Have you started to, and I feel like you and Reid and Ben are playing in this space with avatars, but without getting into avatars necessarily, is there anything that you've been like waking up in the middle of the night and saying like, how come we do things that way? Like why are cities built that way when they can be built that way? And maybe that's putting on the spot because it's a bit of an abstract idea, but I'm curious if anything comes up.
I think there's a lot of that actually. For me, especially when it comes to automation and code, I think like you can talk to a program that'll write programs. And what does that mean? And it'll be cheap actually relative to hiring engineers. And so that tells me that now we're going to have an explosion of software, and that software doesn't need to be a company. That like in the same way that like people blog, like you should be able to generate code in the same casualness that you can blog, and that like you make and that it can be it doesn't need a bunch of users. It could just be you, that you build software for yourself and your friends, and that's like because it's so cheap, because it's so personal, like because it's exactly what you need, then you can create these custom systems for yourself and your own team. And what I've noticed is that oftentimes it's faster and easier to generate the thing that you need than to even go search for something and buy it.
That's a big paradigm, right? Like we're all like, if you just put this in the workplace, you know, we all use Microsoft Office because that's a universal language between offices that we all like have the same, but that's just an assumption of one way that like making word processing and Excel's work or whatever. But what I'm hearing you saying is that what if that currency of exchange can be universal, but the tool you use is designed for you.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not just customized, it's literally designed for you, right?
Yeah. And then you're not paying for things that you don't need. And then when you need something new, you ask for it, and then the agent builds that capability. That's my current experience with agents. It's like, cool. Like on Saturday, I recorded a podcast. And then yesterday, I took the raw files, like the 2 microphones and the video feeds from the 3 camera setup. I put them into a folder and I said, Codex, we have 5 files here, 3 videos. So there's different camera angles. We have 2 microphones. And this is a 2-person podcast. I want you to help me edit it into shorts. And it just starts, it's like, okay, I'm going to look at the energy level of the audio and then use that to direct the camera so I know which speaker to focus on. And then I'm going to use a language model to scan the transcript to find the high energy moments. Well, it seems like he speaks very quickly at this moment because of the high words per minute. And then every time the speaker changes, that's probably like an interesting transit, like when you ask me a question. So it just starts finding all this. And I was like, oh my God, like this is the personal clipping tool that I wish I had, right? And instead of me sitting there and editing, I just dumped all these raw files into a coding agent, and then it just churned out 90 clips, and it applied captions. And I was like,
and that's different from Opus and the way that
this
Opus
is what Opus should be doing.
And what sorry, and qualify the difference. What is this doing that you like better than what Opus is organically doing?
So I think Opus, even to script, both of these are like gonna eventually end up in a similar space. It's like auto clipping, right? So like you shouldn't have to spend all your time in the weeds if you don't want to, and then you would be allowed to just spend more time recording the raw content, and then the editing process would be automated by these tools. It's basically, but the difference is that I'm not buying Opus. Like I use
So you
Opus.
built this yourself.
Yeah. Well, it's not even. It didn't exist 2 days ago.
Right.
So like I went to an agent and it built the pipeline. It built the system to do this in 1 day. And then I'm like, great, we'll just use this next week and the week after.
So the chat's asking, I'm bringing this up because there's a tool called Opus Clips, and you mentioned the Descript. Like when you cut up, but like if I cut up this podcast, and man, I hope the video is coming in okay. You know, it supposedly has access to the YouTube algorithm of what like a hot clip is, you know, and then it sort of just scans the conversation, and it makes all these little vertical videos, and you know, maybe it makes up to as many as you want. I think you can make like 25 of them, and like 20 of them suck, but 5 of them are great, and it just did the work for you. What I'm hearing is like, yes, good for Opus, good for Descript, and maybe that's useful for people that just want to do everything in a Descript. To connect this to your idea before is, for better for worse, for those companies and the types of longevity they're hoping for, you could get to the point that you just make it for yourself.
Yeah.
And it could even be built off of your algorithm. Like,
Yes.
what are the clips I like?
I
Not
say-
necessarily the YouTube algorithm. I don't know, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like I can literally be like, find every controversial take in this 2-hour podcast. Find every single time that I embarrass myself. So you like highlights, or you can prompt them. You could basically say, hey, agent, like these are the moments I want to extract from the video. And it is doing a lot. The magic is like, I don't know how to do the audio editing. I don't know how to do the video. Like a lot of what we were doing manually of like picking which camera angle to choose, it's just intelligently deciding that based off of all the data it has to itself, which is like the audio files. It's like the intensity of the speaker. So this is like the AI agent native approach to this, where you look at a web app and you're kind of just like, I'm pretty sure a coding agent might be able to do this. And I think Min asked the question, what's the Claude Code equivalent for AI filmmaking? Is there any tool that works in a similar way? The Claude Code equivalent for AI filmmaking is Claude Code. Like, I try, every time I get an access to an agent, I try it out, and then I'm sitting there, I'm like, wait, Claude Code and Codex are just better. Of course, it requires me to tell it to build the system, but I end up with a system that's custom, that actually does what I need, not some standardized.
It's really a modality of just starting to, again, there's so many products coming at us.
Yeah.
That are in and of themselves interesting, and maybe we like that idea of just like window shopping on just somebody did a good job. But I think what I keep hearing is that whether, I don't know, look, you're also very talented at this, so maybe we all have a journey to get to your instinct level. But at the same point, I do sense, looking at Lovable and where those trends are, the idea of like, just what if you just created your own solution is going to be something I think our kids are growing up with. Like I think I think that is a very modern mindset of like, of DIYing your way.
It's like a sandbox where you get to build your own world. You get to build your own tools. And there is a steep learning curve. Parth is trying to convince all. Yeah, I mean, I think, yes. I think that like, if you want to create, you want to make a single short film, you can do that by hand. But if you want to make a film or a cohesive style, you're going to need automation. And I think that the intersection of vibe coding and AI filmmaking is actually now you can explore more ideas, right? Otherwise, it feels a lot of times like I'm pulling a slot machine on these generative AI models, and I'm like, ah, oh, man.
It's somebody's best effort, and sometimes they got a good team together to get ahead of things that you would do. But yeah, I think that the point is there's a future that we're all going to have to reckon with that already copies the energy of a UGC culture of distribution on YouTube and TikTok, of like everybody's just kind of doing their own thing.
Yeah.
Eventually, it's about how do those people in those cases find markets and audiences for what they're doing with their content. This is like, how do I build my own tools and my own business? I mean, I think it can be intimidating to a lot of people who don't think this way, and it can also be very exciting.
I think it needs to get a lot simpler, by the way. Yeah. Like, I think I spend all my time on this and I'm only scratching the surface. And so I don't think it makes sense to expect a lot of people to do the same. But if you know someone that is far ahead in something, they can get you to like the magical realization much more quickly, right? Like, you won't need to put 1,000 hours in to get to where I am. You like, I would be able to give you a roadmap that would allow you to discover the like happier path easily.
I think the other way, and I want to make time for Jiajian, that's also patiently in the audience, and you're also welcome to hang out here and listen to Jiajian or go back to work as you work here at the Lighthouse. But I don't mean to just suddenly cut us off, but I'm just flagging where we are on time. But I think if we join communities like this, or if we enter conversations like this, because all of us on a Wednesday morning are curious or like to learn, I think we're also looking for an edge. And I think sometimes it can be overwhelming with somehow being up on every single thing that the video models are doing. There's something about, while everybody is staring at that massive amount of information to process, there's this slightly smaller group of people that I think are, to Min's point too, like if we're all focusing on the vibe coding thing, we might have an edge on where the opportunities are, or it's possible somebody's about to make something really easy for us. It's an interesting time to place your bets on your time and energy, but I feel it acutely that when I meet somebody that like spent the last week focusing on this versus like figuring out what other type of camera tricks a video model, I feel like they're like about 3 months ahead of me on what I could have been doing with my same time. So I admire people that are focusing on vibe coding, because I do think it's where there's the most discovery and opportunity to also build your own different position, and especially in the media landscape. Min has just jumped in.
He's already got it installed.
What are we looking at here?
He's installed Claude Code. See it looking like 5 seconds.
Okay. So, and also for anybody who's looking at other things we're doing in machine cinema, Dulce Baerga has had a vibe coding kind of boot camp that she's been running. And if anybody wants to learn more about that, please reach out to her directly. But we've been
I like this latest comment. Webinar where you demo Claude Code making a video. Yes, I was hoping to do that here today, but
I know today we got to chatting, but maybe we do a Robo Dojo for that.
Yes.
So that's it. And tomorrow we're doing one with Rory Flynn. Debatable if I'm going to bring it back to Discord. I'm going to have to talk to Min if we go back to Google Meet. But we're doing one with Rory Flynn tomorrow on Weavy. And Dr. Mango, whose name are you asking for? Oh, Dulce Baerga. I'll add her here. And that just popped up. Look her up, and she was
on my team at my first Gen battle.
That's right. Wow, all roads also lead back to Todd's house. Well, look, I know that you've had your laptop already. I think it may be my fault for just having too much fun talking to you. And maybe this format's more for a quick chit chat, because I know Jiajian's here as well. But if we can put you on the spot, and you just change your mind if you don't want to. But we do this Robo Dojo thing, which is a little bit more like straight up, like let's pick a challenge and share it with the community and have that direct screen share conversation. We'd love to have you.
That would be awesome. Totally down.
We're welcome to hang out in this Lighthouse office while we switch out. But if anybody has any last questions, I know that we've I'm sort of adapting to a frozen screen every 5 seconds. If anybody's wondering why I look at my screen, I hope that is just on my end. But does anybody have any quick questions for Parth before he goes? And you can raise your hands, or you can use the chat. And also Parth's in our community. Oh yeah, Danya has a question. Here we go. Let's see if this type of stuff. Hey, Danya.
Hey there. I was just wondering how using Claude Code locally is any different than LM Studio locally, or Comfy UI, or Alama. I mean, obviously, you're you're still working locally and you're going to have to put all the pieces together. But in your opinion, have you worked in those other environments? Is there a reason why you stick with Claude Code?
Yeah. So I should clarify. Claude is still running on Anthropic servers. It's just that it is operating on your device. So what you've named are like truly local models. What I'm talking about is like running it on your computer, even though it's making calls to Anthropic. The advantage is
Okay.
that, yeah. So, but the advantage is that Claude and OpenAI models are, because they're obviously offered on the cloud, like they are the most powerful models there are, and so they're able to do things in one or two prompts that would otherwise take like an 8-9 turn back and forth with a lesser model. So the reason I use it is like, what's the most state of the art model, and can you use it on your own computer? As in, like, it's okay if it makes calls to the internet, but that it is interacting and saving the files on your own desktop in your own folders, like, so your own like your own space.
Okay. Thanks for that clarification.
Great. Thanks for the question, Tanya. I guess Min just had a very small, easy question to answer. What's the dream thing you want to build that's not currently feasible?
I want to make games, like not just one game, like many games. I want to make games. I think it is possible. So I don't know if that's not possible. That's the problem. Yeah, man, just like multiplayer games, like cooperative games, world building. Like that's why I'm excited about the next phase of the video models. The interactive video is something that I love, but also just like Dungeons and Dragons types experience, like where it's like improvisational, like story, like emergence. I love that stuff.
I think there's a few people that agree with you on that one. And let's see, Laura Tornga. I'm using Codex mostly to create an iPhone app that uses Apple's native code to access LiDAR on iPhone
Ooh.
camera. Any recommendations for AI agents or vibe coding platforms that can access iPhone native code?
This is a great specific question. I think Replit does support iOS programming, but Codex, yeah, this is the iPhone. I'm not an iPhone programmer, but I think you could deploy on Replit, and you can code mobile apps on Replit, and you can deploy them. So you can use Codex, you can use GitHub to sync it to Replit, and then you can deploy it on Replit. But not, I'm not. I think you would want to talk to an iOS dev. Yeah, definitely talk to an iOS dev about this. Don't take my advice.
Very specific question.
Yeah.
I feel like it feels like a good scratch surface of what we can do in our RoboDojo with you.
Also, hi, Laura.
Hey, Laura. Laura's a big fan. She was excited to know that you were coming today. Thank you.
Yep.
I love seeing you on the way to getting coffee around here. If everybody wants to reach out to Parth, he's on LinkedIn. It says he's still building thousands of agents,
Yep.
as his byline.
Yep.
But I always learn so much talking to you, and you've been such a help with some of the projects I'm working on. And I think the D&D thing is its own thing that we can start our next conversation on.
Yes, maybe we vibe code D&D.
Yeah, I think that might be the we will break the internet.
It would be intersection of language models and video models and creative models. So we just put them all into one little group chat and tell them to build D&D.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate you. And you're welcome to stay, or you can somehow creep out.
I think
this tiny little space.
I think I will creep out.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah,
So you're gonna watch Parth like oddly not knock over equipment in this room. Jiajian, if you can, I think I know how to bring you up. Can you try to invite yourself really quickly? How do I bring you up? Can you hear me, Jiajian? Thank you, Parth. Yep. Appreciate you. I'm still learning all this Discord business. I have to add Jiajian. Can you invite yourself and then I'll bring you up, please? Thanks everybody for being great. There's a little, I think that you should sort of have a little hand with the thing. There you go. We're all learning technology together. All right. I think you're in. I'm going to make you a little bit bigger. So everybody, his video will come pretty soon. So I'm going to say big thanks to John Dupre-Gaunt. I'm also hoping I'm getting everybody's pronunciations right. But John, you introduced me to Jiajian, and he's some kind of advisor to your world as well. And I just had like a great like chat. I'll meet anybody that's doing art and AI work with MIT and Harvard, and all of that sounds interesting. And we had the most amazing conversation, Jiajian. And I think there's a lot to learn from you. I mean, you are operating at a technology space. You're an award-winning AI XR artist. You're getting to be an interdisciplinary researcher, and you have your own studio, My Studio, and you've also had some recent news in terms of some of the work and how it's growing. But it's just super cool what you're doing. I think it's highly visual. I think you just got to watch me and Parth talk, but I think we're going to get to see some of your work today. And I'm really excited for people to interact with that. But if you don't mind introducing yourself and telling us about where you come from, but we'd love to see your work today. And I think your mic might be off. I can't hear you. Can anybody else hear Jiajian? Is it just me? So on the microphone symbol on the bottom, yeah, it says you're muted. Yeah, it should be on the microphone at the bottom of your screen. Let's see, BZ might have some ideas. Yeah, there's a microphone that you should be able to pull the arrow down, and it gives you options on which input and which output.
Could you hear me now?
I can hear you great. Yeah, I don't know what you
Okay.
did, but your video went away,
Oh,
but now I can hear you.
sorry. I think okay, let me my I think because my oh, okay, perfect. That's now.
Yeah, we got you. All right.
Okay. I think it's because my AirPod, it doesn't have a microphone,
I know.
so
It's
it
the AirPods
automatically
always
get
mess
rid of.
everything up. Yeah. Well, welcome. We'll
Okay.
try that. Take two. If you could introduce yourself and tell us what you're working on these days.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Brett, for inviting me. And hello, everyone. Thank you for joining this conversation. And my name is Jiajian. I'm right now in Cambridge, Massachusetts. So I'm an artist doing AI XR kind of work and also doing research. Previously at Harvard and MIT. And right now, I'm also running the MIT AI Film Festival and MIT AI Film Hack. So building the community, mostly in the greater Boston area, but we're also connecting globally. Like after our events this October, I went to the LA Tech Week and met a lot of friends, also Fred in person. It's great to see the community in the West Coast and East Coast. Okay. And I think, yeah, I do have a lot of visuals, so
Yeah. So
it's
do
not
you see
a,
the share your screen icon at the bottom?
yes,
So that should
yes,
work.
let me, yeah, this is my first time using Discord
I know.
for meeting.
It's all these languages we're learning. So there's a little screen with an arrow on it. If you click on that, that should give you a bunch of
Yeah,
options on screens to share.
I saw that. It's a little bit slow, but I'm doing that. Could you see my screen now?
It's loading. There we go. Yep. Looking
Okay,
great.
perfect. Okay, I'll give probably 20 minutes, maybe 20 to 25. Seeing some of my work, and then we can have a discussion.
Sure.
And yeah, so I'm Jiajian. I'm the founder right now. My studio is based on my last name Min, and also my wife. My wife is Anna Yu. So my wife and I, we co-founded our studio in 2020 during the COVID, where we also play with Clubhouse at that time. And yeah, I work a lot with cutting edge technology, media arts. So my background is not technology. My background is actually architecture. So originally, I studied architecture in China in Beijing at Tsinghua University. It's the basically the best one in China. And then I came to the States to get another master at Yale University. And then I worked as an architect in New York for almost 4 years. So I do work a lot in the physical world. And so during COVID is a time when we gradually transit into more digital, like XR field. And then I got invited from Harvard University to work as a researcher in their Department of History of Art and Architecture. So we do a lot of cultural heritage, digitization, and exhibition. And from 2023, I'm participating in the MIT AI Film Pack and help running the community events to now. So my background is kind of gradually from art, architecture, design, and into new media, digital humanity, generative AI, extended reality. So I really want to kind of break the boundary. So our studio is really want to break the boundary between different disciplines and different media. So try to bring all these kind of experience together because like in history, if we look at those uh, big cathedrals in Middle Age or those beautiful caves in ancient China, it's really a very, very immersive and multimedia experience. It has not only visuals, but also music and spatial sounds and spiritual. And I think this is the future of art, and it's not only limited to one kind of media, but it's kind of a very dynamic experience. So for my own work, I really focus on three I. So immersive, intelligent, and interactive. And of course, most of the media, like short videos or most formats of films, is still like 2D, even like 4K format, or uh, this is the most common format to circulate around your phone or cinema. But I really love, as an artist, love this kind of the future of immersive and intelligent interactive experience. So I'll quickly show some of our work in the past few years. So this one is called Embodied Ink. It's the artwork we created last year at New Ink. It's a program in New Museum of Contemporary Art in Manhattan. And so the concept is from traditional Chinese calligraphy because calligraphy, as we enjoy it, is a really 2D medium on the paper, but actually like in ancient times, when the artists write these calligraphies, it's really a performance. A lot of them are doing calligraphy after they have a huge drinking party when they are drunk, and they very like happy moods, and they like create this kind of calligraphy with their whole body. So we try to from this inspiration create artwork with a dance group in New York, bring calligraphy into different kind of medium system, into visual, into dance and music, and using motion capture OptiTrack to do some pre-production for the dancers and also for the on-site we have using Kinect to have an interactive experience. We also trained two kinds of data sets. One data set is about the Chinese calligraphy. We divided those characters into individual image and collect about more than several thousands of these image of characters and train a data set for the aesthetics. And also we train another data set for the motion of the performer. Yeah, and as you can see, it's a very interesting like figure grounds of the calligraphy. So the character can be more and more abstract, and then we create a visual with is both the extracting the figure of the dancer and translates in real time into a calligraphy. So it's actually not just the Chinese calligraphy. It becomes a collaboration between the human body and the AI system, and also the traditional calligraphy data set. And we also do a composition of the music. based on the different kind of style of this calligraphy to work with the performance. Yeah, we can have take a look. Bit slow.
Yeah, sorry about the connection. There we go.
Okay,
Great.
there we go. So the prompt, the video, the audio, this kind of medium is an extension of your body. So what we are doing a lot in a lot of projects is how we can empower the human. It's not like build a different system like artificial intelligence system, but an augmented human that can be your sense, your intelligence can be augmented by this system. That's what we are really interested in. And from this project, we build another project based. So the first project is your full body tracking, and we also use sensors to track the heartbeats and translate some biodata into the visual system. And for another one, we build a hand interactive experience. So for this one, the idea is in a lot of traditional art formats like sand painting or shadow puppets, your hand is a medium to create visuals. Your hand work with the sand or your hand would work with the light. So right now, with like generative AI system, we can use AI data sets and also this kind of hand tracking sensors to turn your hand into animation. And instead of creating animation frame by frame, it's like a real-time performance and real-time live animation generator. And you can also do live prompting. So we build this system. It has a hardware leap motion to track your hand, turn that hand into a stable diffusion, goes through the data set we trained previously, and to generate the live animation. And at the same time, you can also do live prompting. For example, you want to build a prompt system that you can control the weight. So for example, here we can build 3 scenes. And for each scene, we have each different prompt. And after you change the weight of this prompt, and you can switch to different scenes and in real time. And we also have another slider which controls how the scene it looks more similar to your hand, or it looks more similar to the data set of the not the data similar to the AI system. So it's a very interesting uh, system which can combine your hand motion and the machine learning algorithm. We can take another look at this one. And this work we presented last week in Dublin, Ireland, and it got the best interactive art awards at ACM Multimedia.
Amazing. Congrats.
Uh,
I mean, obviously, as we
thank
wait for the digital world to, you know, move faster. I mean, what's so cool about the way you're exploring this is how much it's also connected to, physical human behavior, dancing, hand movements. Like that sort of through line is so interesting.
Here it goes. The better quality. And also, very interesting is a visual because it's still stable diffusion frame by frame, and we use algorithm to smooth the transition of different frames. So so it creates a kind of AI aesthetic that's really different from like Sora or from most common commercial AI tools. Yeah. So I think one thing about AI is it not only empower the public to create um, medium, films, music easier, but we really interested as an artist, really interested in explore the boundary of AI, like what kind of new things it can bring to the table. Not only make it efficient, but create something that we cannot achieve before.
And I think you said it, but that bit of hardware that the hand is interacting with, like that's something that
Mhm.
you could buy on Amazon.
Yeah. It's actually a very mature. Oh, very interesting. Here, the it's called Leap Motion. The founder of the Leap Motion is actually also the founder of Midjourney. So I think after he made this very successful company doing the hand motion hardware, then he moved to Midjourney to do the super popular like image generation tool. Yeah,
So beautiful.
and
Obviously, if
also.
anybody has any questions, please chop it in the chat or ask yourself to come up on stage. Yeah.
Yeah, and also, so it's a depth camera. And actually right now with just webcam and AI algorithm, you can also use just webcam to do hand tracking or full body tracking. So the tracking system right now is also quite mature. Yeah. And so the next two projects are what I'm working on at Harvard University as the project lead and researcher. So this one is called cave dance. It's based on the Zunhuang cave in traditional China, where it's about several thousand years ago of Buddhism. And so it's a very amazing cave where there are paintings, murals, and people do very beautiful statues and perform music for ritual experience. And so the idea is that um, so this kind of immersive experience is not only uh, modern, like was invented in modern age, it actually can trace back to the very origin of our human race. And also very interesting thing is different in different ages, people use their cutting edge technology at that time to do this kind of imagination of the heaven. And so for this project, we really want to bring the concept of those kind of Buddhism into modern world using modern technology, machine learning, also all kinds of data set and aesthetics. And another concept is comparison between the Western world and Eastern world, the concept of body, because in traditional like Western world, like body is a very scientific thing in art. For example, in Renaissance, most artists they will study a lot on human body, like where how the muscle works, how the like all kinds of your body parts work with each other, so you can draw very precise uh, painting. But in China, it's a totally different concept because the body was a kind of imagination, and it's like it can be changed. It's not a precise thing. It's something connected to the Buddhism in the heaven. So so the body can be transformed into fire, into water, into jade, into all kinds of material. So for this project, we work with very professional dancer in China on Buddhism, uh, Zunhuang Cave dancing. And so we do a motion capture data set and use the machine algorithm to connect them together into a calligraphy which cannot be achieved by just humans. And we did a very solid art history research on the painting, on the notation, on the calligraphy, also on calligraphy, which works together with the human body, and then create a kind of visual system, a visual effect, turn the body into all kinds of formats, into fire, into water, into jade, We also 3D printed the body motion process. You can see this 3D print sculpture is the still frames of body motion in different duration, and it come together with the projection mapping for an art installation. And in the end, we built that build an immersive installation on campus with projection mapping and mural. It's like a infinite room. Yeah. Okay. Another time to wait.
There was one quick question that I think was referencing the hand
Mhm.
tracking. Can you say what type of camera are you using for tracking?
For this one?
The previous
For
one, I think the hand tracking one with the birds. That's when the question came up.
Oh, the track is leap motion, or right now I think it's called ultra leap hardware. So it can track your hand skeleton. It's a depth camera, and also it can track the silhouette of your hand. Yeah. And for the full body tracking, for professional tracking, we use OptiTrack. So they it's kind of about I think 16 to 20 cameras of the room with your suit. You wear a special suit, and the suit it has reflecting uh like balls on your suit, and the camera will capture different those reflecting balls, and they can build a model in real time. Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you.
A kind of very meditative experience.
It's so beautiful. I mean, we're starting to approach time, and I don't want. I mean, people stick around and let's go through. I mean, one thing that I'm taking away on this is that you in the amazing space of sometimes academic settings and the research or the funding that comes with that, or even just having the amazing privilege to be doing this in an art context. Um, you're really getting to create new visual languages, and as we've been seeing in our all our talks, like the way that these are today technology visual languages in terms of new ways that we can program them or design them or build them and perhaps have even like I think it often starts in an art space that these new opportunities that then extend into perhaps commercial storytelling or even I mean and I didn't mean to cut you off if you have another presentation. I'm just commenting on what we've seen so far. Like, do you think this way, and is this maybe even like the people surrounding your work, like is this starting to build other mindsets for other outputs, or are you happily mostly just treating this as like the endeavor of a work of art?
That's a very good question. So I think uh, the as an artist, you really build new kind of visual language in the art world. And at the same time, I also regard myself as an entrepreneur. So I'm kind of bridging the gap between art, academia, and industry. So I think a lot of people, like a lot of my friends or professors, they either they are in the academia, they do a lot of research, they do publications, they write papers, and those artists they do work in the gallery, they are making in their studios, and they do not do research. They are more uh, building works from their own inspiration. And there's also like friends doing startup, doing like or commercial product with brands and or commercial films. I think all these fields they're kind of separated. And for me, I'm really interested in trying to communicate between all different kind of fields and like tell the artist, okay, you see, like research is actually super important to create new kind of visual language or visual concept. And for the industry, for the commercial world, and you see the power of narrative, the power of storytelling and visual storytelling can help the brand can build a very special identity. And also for the research, uh, like for the researchers or universities or academia, like the what's happening in industry is so fast. And if we make the best use of these technologies, these tools, they can help us enhance our research and make new progress. So yeah, I'm just kind of that's what I'm doing most of the time, uh like in different fields and telling people, okay, what we can do with all kind of these things.
It's amazing. I love that there can be space for this type of exploration, and it's just dazzling visually, but also the connection to the physical world is what's even extra. I think, as Michael's mentioning in the chat, we whether it's the one we have coming up on December 6th here in LA, or the just the space in general, we love the intersection of AI and XR, and would love to do something with you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And this project is what my wife is doing right now, because my wife and I we built together the MIT Film Festival and also our own studio. She's she's more a dancer, media artist, and performer. So she's kind of a professional dancer before. So she's working a lot with theater, and she's an artist at MIT Theater Arts Department and also visiting lecturer at Media Lab. And she's working on a project which is taking place tomorrow, this week, and also next week. If some friends who are coming to Boston recently, welcome to join the show on site. So for this show, the theater is called the drama is called A Dream Like a Dream. So it's like a it's really like Inception. You have a story inside another story inside another story. So you have a dream building another dream in another dream. So for the stage, they create a loop kind of stage where the audience are sitting in the center. So you can rotate all the performer performing around you. And another for the multimedia system she's working on, we build a panoramic like projection mapping with 4 projectors on top. And so for this theater media, we really explore the cutting edge word model from the word lab recently, and we generate a huge amount of panoramic image, panoramic views, and also Gaussian splash and point cloud experience, and test how people will feel in the physical world, experience this digital space. So, for example, these are some of the rehearsal scenes. And another interesting is there are 4 live cameras, so 2 handheld live camera and 2 a static camera on top, and project these camera scenes of the actors onto the panoramic scenery. Yeah. So as you can see here, these are some of the scenes generated from the Word Lab developed by Stanford professor Li Feifei. So I think one interesting thing in the technology part is um, uh, the word lab is what I'm very interested in, because like a large language model, there's a thing like large language model language is abstract because it's not the real world. It's human build this language system to understand the world, but the real world is based on our not only visual but all kind of sense, your sense of touch, your sense of uh, hearing, your sense of visual, your sense of smell, your sense of taste. So it's a really multimodality and multi-sensory system. That's I believe will be the future for not only AI but also art. Like if you train model for robots or for this kind of embodied intelligence, you really need this kind of word model to train those machine learning algorithms. So for this experimental art piece, so we tried like very long panoramic scenery generated. These are generated by Midjourney, and these are generated by WordLab. Yeah. So it creates also a very special aesthetics compared with traditional like 16 by 9 format of visual language. This kind of panoramic visual language where you cannot enjoy at the same time. You have to see it all around. So for the filming of this theater, we also use one Insta360 camera to to capture all the shows. Yeah, so it's a very interesting experience. And yeah, so these are some of our recent work. And another part I will very, very briefly mention is the AI Film Festival we're building right now. So we have been building this event from 2023, and we have been hosting 3 hackathons in each year and also a festival in 2025 fall. And we really witnessed the development, like how AI tools empower the public, the students, the creators to better create new kinds of visual language and new kinds of storytelling of their own. And we also have amazing speakers, a lot of them from the West Coast in LA, around the world. We have been creating more than 200 films. So it's really a hackathon. So we have a special topic each year to create. It's also like the GenAI like machine cinema building for hours. I think it's a little bit longer time, not in several hours, but usually in a week. And we also have workshops and sponsor credits from all kinds of AI companies. And next year, our film hackathon will be in April in Boston, and everyone can participate also online. And we'll also host a festival in October, combined with Boston AI Week in the fall. Welcome to join our events next year. Yeah, and thank you very much. That welcome to connect me on LinkedIn, Instagram, or X.
This was amazing, and obviously, I think in context of what we got to talk to Parth about, I see both of you as people really operating at a very like hands-on level of what's possible with these different tools. And I love seeing, the academic art side of this equation next to this sort of like deep cut vibe code energy that Parth gives off. Um, I mean, look at again. I think all of this is a fun phase that there's some much busier person than everybody, even on this call, that says like, "Cool, let me know when it's all figured out, and I'll sort of changing my businesses or changing the way I do things." But I think all of us also recognize that there's a chance to build an edge or also be a part of building the future. That I think it is so accessible. A lot of these different things. I think the fact that one of your works is, I think, a tool that I can buy on Amazon to hack into. It's an interesting phase of this, and I'm very inspired by your work, and also echo Michael again one more time that we'd love to come up with an in-person event. If anybody has any last questions, I know one person's asking about how you got into the Harvard lab. I mean, it sounds like that's an interesting pathway. Is there anything you can share with people of what the application process is, or?
Yeah, so for my position, we get referred, so invited by one of my professor back in China, Tsinghua University. So he's a visiting scholar at Harvard. So he recommended me to the lab, and I think they are also have application for visiting fellows um, every year. Yeah, and the the problem for universities right now is the budget. So for example, Harvard is cutting a huge number of PhD positions and also with lecturer positions recently. And I think the policy, the government's policy, has a big impact on universities. Also MIT, yeah. For example, a lot of the professors I know, like the directors of the program, they are having a hard time finding funding from the all kinds of grants or industry. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so tricky everywhere, but good to know that there is a process. But it does seem like there's a pretty straightforward news feed on universities struggling with funding. And if you do have the link to the Amazon product that I keep referencing, if a couple
Yeah,
people
yeah,
might,
I
a
typed that.
couple people might
I
want to
typed
buy one. Is it Leap Motion? There you go. Um,
emotion. Right.
I'm sure it's not just like a box that you open and it does magic too. I think you applied some technology around it that you
Yeah, yeah.
described.
You need to use some kind of software. So I use all kinds of yeah. Right now I think they changed the name to Ultra Leap, and I used software called Touch Designer.
Touch designers in the. I'm hearing a lot of people talking about touch designer lately. Yeah,
Yeah, Touch Designer is good tool to do interactive experience, 2D visuals, like, yeah, it's a platform where you connect all kinds of data, feed in, feed out, and the multimedia experience. Yeah.
amazing. Well, we're right at time, and really thank everybody for tolerating my technical difficulties today. I'm learning from all of this, and we may revise our approaches, but we are experimenting in public on how we reach you guys, and I hope this wasn't distracting and still very uh, resourceful and interesting and fun for all of you guys. Jiajian, I'm so thankful for your friendship and getting to know you in person, and you're a lot taller than me in person, so I'm more comfortable with you on these digital space. I'm just kidding. No, I'm joking. But no, honestly,
Yeah,
so cool to meet you in person, and we would love a chance to collaborate in person together.
yeah, yeah. Actually, earlier next year, I will spend some time in California because my wife, she's also doing a PhD, yeah, at Santa Barbara, UC Santa Barbara, on media arts and
Amazing.
technology with cognitive science. So we won't be far from LA, just
All
like
right.
2 hours drive. Yeah.
You guys have cool jobs. Very cool. Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate everybody joining us here. We'll be connecting again tomorrow with Rory Flynn. I'm going to be rethinking maybe if Discord's the right place for that. So just look for any notes on that if anybody's planning on joining the Rory Flynn Robo Dojo. And hope everybody has a good rest of your week. Thanks, everybody. Reach out with feedback or questions or thoughts, suggestions. Always wide open. But thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Is it?